Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be playing Afghanistan 11, the newest game developed by Every Single Soldier, the same developer that brought us Vietnam 65 just 2 years ago. Vietnam 65 was a very well-received counterinsurgency game that looked at the Vietnam campaign. It said it was in the Idrang Valley, but it was really more abstract than that. It basically put you in charge of U.S. forces in this region, this somewhat unidentified region. The game, again, claims it's one region, but there's no real defining characteristics of it. And basically put you in charge of trying to pacify the area, dealing with VC and NVA forces. You had to combat them while managing your political points and resources in order to make sure that you didn't lose the war politically, while at the same time trying to win the hearts and minds of the local villages to come to your side and support you. Afghanistan 11 follows the same sort of mantra. It's another counterinsurgency. I can't speak. It's another counterinsurgency game by Every Single Soldier, except it's much enhanced over Vietnam 65. There are a bunch of new features. I've only played it a little bit. I played it about a half an hour just to kind of get my feet under me. So this is very much a first impressions video, but it has a very Vietnam 65 feel with a little bit more depth to it. But we'll see that when we jump into the game. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, this is a preview copy of the game. The game doesn't come out till March 23rd. Obviously, we aren't even to February 23rd yet, so the game is not complete and not everything is available. This was a preview copy that was provided by Matrix/Slitherine to me. I know a couple other YouTubers got it as well, so thanks to Slitherine and Matrix. But just be aware, I got the game for free from them to review, and it is not yet complete. You can see here actually, why don't we go back? If we go back to the main landing page, you'll have a skirmish option, which just lets you fight one battle, I assume. There's a uniform, which is you kind of earning medals for accomplishments and other Steam achievements like that. And then there's a campaign, which is a series of battles that you fight stretching from 2006 all the way to 2011, where the game gets its namesake, Afghanistan 11, I assume. As you can see here, there's 18 battles, 4 of them are tutorials, 14 of them then are, you know, standalone battles. I don't believe they link battle to battle, and they're all based, as far as I can tell, they're all based on historical actions. I don't know enough about these individual battles to say whether they accurately reflect these battles, but I probably will do a bunch more research. I plan to do a pretty extended look at the game when it comes out fully, but right now it is still being polished, still being worked on, still very much in a beta format. So I don't want to, you know, go in and try and evaluate the game at this point. This is really just a first look and a preview. So the battle we're going to play today is called the Battle of Lashkar, or Lashkar. I'm not sure. I'm always horrible with pronunciation. So we'll go ahead and play that. And when you click on it here, you get a nice little map of Afghanistan, a little global map up here. You can see all the, this doesn't really matter for the gameplay, but you can see the bordering countries. And then you can see the different flags. So there are Taliban, which have this kind of whitish flag. There's militia, which have this red and black flag. There's the Afghan army and the U.S. army. So just really, before we get into the game, to call this out, if you see this white flag, they're Taliban. They're bad. Not all of the bad guys are Taliban. Afghanistan's a complicated country with a complicated conflict that's been going on there since even before the U.S. became involved. The Taliban is obviously the one we all think of because they're the ones who attacked, well, they're the ones who were ruling Afghanistan before they were overthrown during the U.S.-supported invasion. Al-Qaeda, I don't know if Al-Qaeda would fall under militia or Taliban, but so the Taliban is that group. Then there are militias, which are kind of like local combat or local, you know, armed forces that are hostile to the Afghanistan Authority and therefore hostile to the U.S. government, but they're not the same thing as the Taliban. I don't know how the different factions play differently in the game, but it's worth calling out. There's 2 different types of enemies that you face, and I think that does a good job of at least symbolizing the complexity that exists within Afghanistan. You can see here the Battle of Lashkar is based off a historical engagement. You can see here an Afghan National Army resupply convoy traveling on Highway 611 near Forward Operating Base Robinson was attacked by insurgents on March 29th, 2006. 2 British Harrier aircraft along with 2 American Apaches were dispatched from Kandahar airfield to assist the stranded convoy. 2 hours of fighting ensued, with militants eventually scattering, but a short distance of travel later, and the convoy was hit by an improvised explosive device, an IED, killing 6 soldiers. A quick reaction force comprising of a Canadian platoon were deployed in American helicopters to escort the convoy back to base. 4 hours later, the convoy safely back in the forward operating base, located near the town of Lashkargah. The Afghan insurgents resurfaced in the poppy fields in the south, the ruins of a mud house to the north, and in the hills to the west. The base was attacked by small arms fire, rocket-propelled grenades, and mortars. American Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, really calling in the heavy guns, were used to end the battle. That's definitely a way to end the battle with a grand finale, the good old Super Fortress, bringing an estimated loss to 30, I assume, hostile people. And I assume this little cross sabers here is the spot in Afghanistan where we will be fighting. So we'll go ahead and jump in. We'll hit the start button. And this is already a little bit different than Vietnam 65. Vietnam 65 had a base screen where you could get intelligence and see the overall map. So if we look here, we can see the map of the region in Afghanistan where we are fighting. This little hexagon or pentagon, oh my god, I don't even know my shapes, with the star in the middle, that's our headquarters. That's the U.S. main base. That's where everything flows from. This little smaller one over here is our fire base, our forward operating base. And then these towns with this Afghanistan flag, these are all the different villages and towns in the area that we need to try and pacify. So this is all pretty similar to Vietnam 65, but where it gets a little bit different is all of these different dossiers that you can look at. There's civil affairs, for example. So you can earn or lose Hearts of Mine score, which is this little heart symbol, by doing various things. So there's political impacts to Hearts and Mines, conflict, mines, intimidation, aid, villages on highways, infrastructure, village visits. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can influence the Hearts and Minds of the local populace. And that's what this little dossier gives you. It also gives you a graph that it'll show you over time as it changes. In addition, you've got the personal file, which will give you information on the Afghanistan National Army. It takes 2 turns to train. There's currently no Afghanistan National Army forces that are being trained. You can have a maximum of 3 infantry, 5 mech, and 3 artillery, and there's no required U.S. military handover. So this scenario is early enough in the war. You know, the war in Afghanistan, as far as the U.S. is concerned, started in 2001 after 9/11, but it is now 2006, 5 years into the conflict, but the U.S. is not yet handing over control to Afghanistan. So I assume in later scenarios, later in the war, you could be required to give up control of certain units, or, you know, allow these units to take over control, whatever that means. I'm not quite sure, but that's my assumption. Is this is something like Vietnamization. Logistics, you can see here there's basically political points. So the game gives you a certain number of political points to play with, and I'm assuming this is tracking all the different expenditures of political points, as well as potentially gaining of political points. Intelligence gives you the estimated enemy strength, 5 cadres, so 5 enemy fire units, no Taliban. So it looks like this at this point is a scenario where you're fighting against local militias, not against the Taliban. Opium crops, I assume, are things you want to destroy. You know, giving opium is one way that the rebels use drugs to fund their conflict. Enemy engagements, total number of engagements versus success rate, U.S. casualties, Afghanistan National Army casualties, militia, and Taliban. So again, intelligence, just kind of giving you a summary of the conflict to this date. Political liaisons, so the current Afghanistan president. It looks like, and this is obviously a fictionalized individual, but we are the people who are for the people. Okay. Foreign aid, he's pro-U.S., so Afghanistan National Army penalty is reduced. That doesn't apply to this scenario. Fundamentalism, Taliban missions down 15%. So again, pro-USA reduces the impact that the Taliban has. These presidents, by the way, are randomized. When I played my initial attempt to play through, that was a different president with different traits. Defense policy, he's pro-US, which reduces Afghanistan National Army training. Infrastructure, it costs more political points because I guess he's a pro-Taliban infrastructure stance. I'm not quite sure what that means. And then the command tab gives us our mission briefing. So in this mission, we've been called in to assist troops fighting Taliban insurgents in a forward operating base near Lashkar. Get 2 supply trucks to the forward operating base at objective Alpha and prevent the FOB from being destroyed. So our objectives: get 2 supply trucks to the FOB, prevent the FOB from falling or being destroyed, and end the game with a Hearts and Minds score of 50. And this is a rather long scenario, I think, 60 turns. It's quite a lot to accomplish that. The fire base is over here. We have to come from our main base here. And then you can see here, it looks like there's a turn counter down here. I can't click on it, so I assume it's a turn counter. So I'll go ahead and click on the map. This is our headquarters. This is the U.S. headquarters in the region. If we scroll around the map, kind of a slow scroll speed, but we kind of drag around the map. Here is our forward operating base right over here. It has 1 mortar company as a garrison in the base, nothing more. So hopefully they don't get attacked, because a mortar is great if you spot the enemy, but isn't going to do a very good job against defending against them. Now, right now we have no enemy personnel that we can see, but we can see there are these villages here that we want to visit. So you gain and lose hearts and mind scores by doing various things. This basically represents the local populace's support for one faction or another. Right now it shows the Afghan flag at 50, so that means they're pro-Afghanistan government, which is good because the U.S. is pro-Afghanistan. Again, can't speak, guys. Sorry, it's late. That means they're pro-Afghanistan government, which is also pro-U.S. government at this time. If this changes to look like the Taliban, this drops below 50%, then they will be pro-bad guys. We don't want them to be pro-Taliban or pro-militia or whatever it'll show. So we want to keep this up, and again, our objective is to have this higher than 50 when the battle ends. So we need to keep an eye on that. One way you can increase that, building infrastructure for towns. You can build bridges, you can connect towns to roads. Another way you can do that is by destroying militia units. I assume that's to provide some sense of security to the local populace, and then they think, hey, these guys really have our back. I'm not an expert in Afghanistan, but I do think some of the assumptions the game makes on things that influence hearts of mind may be a little bit flawed based on our actual experiences in Afghanistan. Providing infrastructure is not always smiled upon in some of these villages. It's not always something that really influences their opinion of us. At least that is my limited perspective on this. But let's go ahead and go back to our fire base, and actually let's go ahead and go back to our intel map. So the first thing I'm going to try and do, and just get out of the way right away, is get 2 supply trucks to this base. That will also allow me to sweep this road of potential IEDs. Yes, as you move along the roads, you have a possibility of running into improvised explosive devices. Basically, the bad guys will plant mines along the roadways and blow your shit up as you try and move down the roads. Additionally, it'll give us a chance to try and scout these roads out and see if there's enemy troops waiting in ambush, ready to destroy us. While we're doing that, we'll probably send some troops to this village here over Aaron and see, what their perspective is, give them a visit, see how they like us. And then we'll also secure our western flank by checking this village out. I don't envision going to all of these villages right away. I really want to fortify this forward operating base. It's right in the middle of all these villages. This headquarters is too far off to the east to be able to effectively control these villages from there. So I'm going to build this fire base up in the middle, which you can do now, which you could not do in Vietnam 65. You can actually expand fire bases, build new artillery pits, build ammunition stockpiles, repair depots, things like that to make it a more formidable facility. So I'm going to build this up, and then from there I will operate toward all of these other Afghanistan villages and try and convince them that America is truly great. So we'll go here, we'll click on this base, and you'll see the different units. We currently have 8 units garrisoned in the base. No infantry right now, just a lot of vehicles. So you see there's 4 supply trucks here. We've got 1 MRAP, which is basically like an up-armored, I'm going to use the word Humvee. I know they're not Humvees. They actually made MRAPs up the street from where I used to live. Well, not the street, but like 30 miles north of us at Oshkosh Defense. They made several there, actually. The Humvee replacement is being made there now. But basically, it's a heavily armored troop transport that is designed to withstand things like improvised explosive devices. You've got a Buffalo, which is basically like a portable engineering unit. So if we click on this, you can see the Buffalo can do a lot of different things. It can repair vehicles in the field, construct waterworks, construct artillery pits for your FOBs, construct maintenance yards, field hospitals, forward operating bases. So we could build another FOB, for example, construct roads, and construct bridges. So it has the ability to build infrastructure and make your life a little bit easier. I think it also detects IEDs, but it doesn't seem to actually disarm them. I think only infantry can do that. So as you can see here, we've got a bunch of vehicles. We also have a helicopter, a Black Hawk, and no troops. So what we need to do is we'll go ahead and click on the reinforcement. Oh my goodness, I didn't do that. We're going to click on the reinforcements tab here, and you'll see we can purchase some stuff. So up here, where you see this little 10,000 thing next to the Capitol building dome, 10,000 number, that's our political points. This is what basically the political capital we have back in DC to spend on reinforcements, to spend on basically just operations. Even moving troops around, we'll spend that, and that's to simulate using up resources. So we start with 10,000 in this battle. What we're going to do is we're just immediately going to buy 5 infantry units. So there you go, 5 infantry units that we'll use to operate in this battle, and that used almost 1,000. We're then going to buy an Apache gunship. Having air support that we can fly around with our own unit is going to be very useful, so that'll cost us 1,000. In addition to that, we're going to build a howitzer that gives us some portable artillery support, and then I think we're also going to build one more Black Hawk to give us a little bit more mobility. So as you can see here, we just spent almost half of our political points right away up front, but it is what it is. Actually, I'm going to build one Special Forces unit there as well. Special Forces units are really cool. There are some other options up here. You can call them like airstrikes, but there's a cooldown limit on how often you can call those in. Emergency supply drops, recon drones. But one thing that your special operators can do, your Special Forces units, look on this unit, you can see here they have the ability to attack enemy troops from range, but they also have the ability to call in A-10 Warthogs on nearby enemy troops without using your political points. So you can call in a free airstrike every single turn with your Special Forces, which you can't do with your infantry. If we go here, you can see here the infantry can sweep the area for IEDs, and that's about it. Okay, so what are we going to do first? We're going to go ahead and grab our Buffalo, which is a, again, an engineering vehicle, and we're going to go ahead and send it out on this road toward our FOB, with the hope that it will, at the very least, detect enemy IEDs or troops or something. Ow! So it just detonated an IED, you can see here. I think we can zoom in a bit. It just detonated an IED, but it's fine. It didn't get damaged, so I guess it does do some mine clearing of its own. So we're clear up to this point with no enemy troops along the roadside and with one IED cleared with no more points remaining. So if we go here, we're going to go ahead and get some troops going as well. We're going to choose the Foxtrot Squadron. You just click on this little, again, is it hexagon, pentagon? And then it's a hexagon. And then you click Load Troop for Transport, click where that troop is, and you get to pick what you're transporting in this MRAP. So we'll go ahead and select Bravo Company. Oh, shit. I just drove them off-road because I was clicking too quickly. That was dumb, but at least it won't go in front of the Buffalo. So we'll move this way. And you get bonuses for moving on roads. Like, you can obviously move much more quickly on a road than you can on off-road, but of course when you're on the road, you have a much higher likelihood of running into an IED. So now we've got a supply truck, Bravo Squadron. We're going to go ahead and load this up with a resupply for the FOB. Did I not load that up? Yep, I did. And then we're going to go ahead and drive it along the road. Now, this actually can move more quickly on these roads, because these are really good roads. You can see there's paved roads. But I don't want to move it all the way up here, because this is just a supply truck. So if there's enemy troops waiting up here, or an IED, we'll get blown the hell up. So I'm just going to move in more or less a convoy down this road toward our FOB. I'm going to take another supply truck. I'm going to go ahead and resupply, get resupply for the FOB. And then I'm going to go ahead and send him out as well. So we're just going to kind of form up in a line. We've got our Buffalo up front. We've got some infantry troops just behind. With our combat forces up front, I feel comfortable in putting some supplies in these vehicles behind. And then we'll go ahead and actually grab some UN aid as well. Or should I grab fuel? I don't know if I want to grab fuel or UN aid. We'll go with UN aid. So one other thing you can do to increase hearts and minds is provide aid to local villagers and turn these vehicles into UN trucks. So if we zoom in here, you can see now it has a UN on the back of the truck graphic, which indicates that it's carrying supplies from the UN. It's kind of on a humanitarian mission, which helps improve hearts and minds scores. Again, I don't know enough about Afghanistan to say if that's a realistic portrayal of kind of if Afghanistan, you know, in general, the cultures and the communities there value when outsiders are bringing them aid or not. I'm sure it depends, but that being said, it does help you in this game. So we're going to go ahead and load another MRAP with some infantry troops, and we're going to have them bring up the rear of the convoy. So we've got one infantry unit up front, one infantry behind, and then we're going to go ahead and take our Black Hawk here, and we're going to go ahead and load up some troops in the Black Hawk as well, with one more. Should we do special operators? We'll do one more infantry unit. What I'm doing with these guys, now that they have infantry on board, I'm going to send them. There's a village up here. It's not on a main road. You can see it's not located near a road. So I'm going to go ahead and fly our infantry troops over to this village and drop them off so that they can pay the village basically pay the village a visit and see if they're pro us or pro bad guys or what their thought is. So you can see there the Black Hawk drops these troops off. Look on the infantry, move them into the village. And we got intelligence here. So we now know that there's an enemy militia unit. You can see we click on it, and it says militia unit down here. If we click on it, we get no info. So all we know is there's a militia unit up here. And the question is, how do we want to deal with that? Well, our troops are too far back to directly engage. We do have some artillery at our headquarters. So if I click on that button, it brings me back there. So if I click on the Golf Company howitzer, we move this out, we can see the artillery can't reach. This kind of shaded X is as far as the artillery can reach. So what we're going to do is we're going to call in an airstrike. Now, obviously, there's always the risk. I don't think the game models this, really. But if it was in real life, there'd always be the risk that this would be bad intelligence. I don't think the game models it, but I'm going to call in an F-16 strike against these guys, a 77% chance of success. And there you go. We destroyed the enemy unit, I think. We think. Doesn't actually confirm whether we destroyed it, but they do look like they're gone. If we go in here and we go to intelligence, we can see here one militia casualty. That's, I'm assuming, an estimate. I don't know if there's fog of war or not. It's not terribly clear, but it does look like it was successful as far as we can tell. Now, one thing is, it's going to take 3 turns till we can launch another F-16 strike. That's one of the reasons that I got those special forces operators, because again, they can call in their own I don't know what you call it. They can call in their own airstrikes. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fly this Apache forward in front of our convoy. Kind of scouting out ahead of the convoy. And I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to buy one more. Let's select this Black Hawk, and we're going to load our Special Forces guys on it. The cool thing is when you do this, you know, it's just a minor thing, but you see this Black Hawk, it just turned totally black. And it's kind of like a visual cue of, hey, these guys have Special Forces guys on board. I'm going to go ahead and send our chopper up this way. Actually, let's see about dropping our Special Forces guys in front of our convoy. Whoa! Okay. So we dropped our special forces here, and we can see here there's a militia unit here, and also looks like there's a militia unit here. So our getting those boots on the ground was able to tell us where 2 enemy units were. And now I get to use my A-10 Warthog. So go ahead and click on this. Call in an airstrike. You saw a 73% chance of success. Warthog flies by. And did it destroy them? Or did they get away? Oh no, it didn't succeed. Or at least we don't think it succeeded. So intelligence says we've only destroyed 1 enemy militia unit. They must have fled successfully. That's lame. We could engage them at range. Only a 40% chance of success. That sucks. What about our artillery back here? We go back here. We've got a howitzer battery. Oh, they're just out of range. Oh, but we do have our Apache. Don't forget about that. So we can go ahead and engage target from range with our Apache. And again, the enemy gets away. They didn't get destroyed. Damn it. I lost on 2 70% chances. That kind of sucks. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and pick these guys back up. And I think that's going to do it for this turn. We've got some supplies en route to the FOB. We've got some infantry and some UN supplies moving forward. And we've got some special forces acting in as the eyes and ears in front of our squadrons. So we'll go ahead and end the turn. There are some units that haven't acted, but they're just sitting at our base. Basically, there's some more supply trucks. And the one infantry unit I left behind as a garrison. So, there you go. That's the end of the first turn. So we're into turn 2, and we've got some troops on the ground here. We've got some Apaches providing air cover. We've got some special forces guys over here. Kind of move them down the road, and they just took fire from something. I don't know if it was an IED or if there was... I'm not sure what that was, but we don't know what it was. So what we can do is we can do some drone reconnaissance. This is an option up here. Click on this drone reconnaissance option, click here, and you can see the area that you'll be able to scout out ahead. It doesn't look like we've detected enemy troops. We're going to go ahead and pick up our special forces, get them out of there before they get destroyed, because they are wounded. We're going to go back here. We just click on this little return to headquarters button, and the Blackhawk will fly them back to the main base, where they can get healed up. Again, they have a little medevac symbol on it, so that's taking them back to the main base, where they can hopefully get some rest and relaxation going for them. So far things not going terribly well on my my march down the valley, if you will. Kind of sucks too, because those special forces are really a godsend when it comes to being able to call on those A-10s. I know mine missed on that first strike, but in the one game I played with, before for 30 minutes, I was ravaging the enemy with my special forces, bringing in A-10s all the time. So we just had some bad luck. You can see there our Buffalo moved all the way down this road without running into any IEDs. So we're going to go ahead and move our infantry, escort, and our MRAPs up behind them. And then we're going to go ahead and move our supply convoys as well as we progress toward our objective. And the scrolling is part of the reason I'm clicking some buttons to jump back and forth rather than scroll at the edge of the map, is because I have a dual monitor setup, so it makes it more difficult to just drag over to the edge of the map. I trust it does work better than that. It's just my setup is preventing that. Okay, so we're going to move these supply trucks. We'll move that UN truck as well. And the question is, where's the UN truck going to go? But we'll figure that out later. There is a town up here north of the road, but that would be kind of difficult to get to without any roads. So I don't want to waste the time doing that. And then we'll make sure our Huey is keeping pace. And again, there's fuel is factored in, so you can see 2 fuel remaining. Basically, units have rations that simulates kind of food, but they also have limits on how much fuel they have as well. Just calling that out. So I think that about does it for this turn. We'll go ahead and jump forward. Oh, whoops. So our helicopter just picked those troops up from that village. If you give an order and it says like it's going to take multiple turns for the order to go, then it will, when you hit end turn, it'll actually finish any pending orders before the turn ends, and then allows you to essentially revise your orders if you want to. So I'm going to move this infantry squad that was just at that other village forward toward this Afghanistan village. And again, no new intel comes up when we go here, so I think we've got enough points to go ahead and pick them right back up. They're doing kind of the Vietnam thing of just kind of flying from village to village, and that's how we're fighting right now. So we'll go ahead and end the turn. Enemy forces mobilizing, but thus far nothing that we can see on the map here to be too worried about. I don't think I can move my drone. I can't. So he's just going to stay here for like 2 more turns and continue to provide intelligence on this area to our rear. So you can see here our chopper, our Apache, is low on fuel. That's what that little yellow fuel symbol means. And we're going to move forward to our forward operating base. It looks like we can get there in one go, except we just ran into an IED and suffered damage. So that's not good. I'm actually going to take my Buffalo and put it second in line. I'm going to move the MRAP up front to take any damage from any IEDs, just in case we end up engaging. I don't want to get this unit destroyed. It's damaged. If it takes more damage, it could be destroyed. I can get it to the FOB and then repair itself. Again, taking casualties hurts your political points and political support. Okay, so we've got another enemy unit here that we've spotted. Hopefully we can have some more success destroying it. I'm not going to get my infantry out of the MRAP. I don't want to engage with infantry if I don't have to. I'll use America's superior firepower, and I'm going to try and use air spire with my air support with my Apache there. And you see it was successful. We destroyed the enemy unit, and we got 500 political points for that unit being destroyed. So there you go. All right, so the MRAP continues moving up the road. So the road looks clear. Looks good. We're going to move our supply trucks up. Now, unfortunately, our supply trucks can't... I don't want to move that way. Our supply trucks can't move as far on this kind of a road. They're basically, just think of them as any other truck. So if you're moving kind of on dirt roads with these things, then it's going to be more difficult to move effectively. It wants to automatically move us up here on this paved road, but that road isn't clear necessarily of IEDs. So I'm taking this sort of double-click process where I make sure that my trucks go the route I want them to, rather than the route that they could go. All right, so we'll bring this MRAP up to bring up the rear, and we're going to go ahead and send the Buffalo into the firebase. It's not going to quite get there, but the roads should be clear. And they are. Okay, so we can't get our Apache there. Already moved. This Black Hawk has troops on board. We're going to send them over to this town and keep visiting these local communities. You can see our hearts and minds score dropped. And there you go. So we did detect an IED. We've got an infantry company here that I think... Searching for IEDs. Yep. So our infantry can sweep and then destroy IEDs by clicking this little button here. So we just cleared that road. And by clearing IEDs, again, it helps the hearts and minds. I think that makes sense, right? If you've got American troops out there putting themselves at risk to remove mines that could hurt your own community and your own citizens, that might make you a little bit more willing to support the American sort of viewpoint. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is from a live stream of a playthrough of Afghanistan 11 that I did just last night. The stream ended up being a little bit over an hour. I'm not going to publish it all as one video because that's a really long video, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off here. Hope you enjoyed it this far. This is really just my initial impressions of Afghanistan 11, and so far, there's a lot to like. I've really enjoyed my time with the game thus far. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream and the commentary thus far, and I hope you join me when I put up the next episode as well. Anyway, guys, until then, hope you enjoyed the video, and this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.